It's the Russian anthem.
After last night, man, I don't know.
Rob, you are a Russian asset.
Now you guys are going to have to catch me up on the Biden thing, man, because I'm not aware of the press conference.
I'm gonna have to play some clips from it, dude. It was oof. Rob, what was your main takeaway from the Putin interview?
That he is a leader far more reminiscent of the 19th century than the 21st. And what I mean by that is like he knows his people, he knows his people's history, he knows their fears, their desires, and like whether you think what he's done is right or wrong, or the method he uses are good or bad, you can't argue that he's not working for for the betterment of his nation. Whereas you can't say that about, I don't know, any American leader in the last 50 years, probably more than that.
Right? So it's so weird because American politics it's like you're not getting somebody who, like, people think Trump loves the country and it's like he loves America. It's more like Trump loves himself and he wants to do this thing and he's
right.
Like,
I won't argue that a lot of what he did was good.
Oh,
but
of course.
I think his goal was self-aggrandizement.
What's weird is, okay, so if you go back to Nero wanted
you're pulling a Putin right now.
I'm pulling a Putin right now, okay? Because Putin did that, right? Tucker would ask him a question and then he'd be like, let's go back to the year 800, okay?
Oh my goodness.
But you go back to Nero, and Nero wanted to be an entertainer. And a lot of the Romans saw that as a sign of the end of the empire.
Yeah.
Because you have to understand, an entertainer in the Roman world is like the lowest form of... They were basically prostitutes, you know what I mean? Like they were selling themselves to be like this little thing. So for Nero to want to be an entertainer, and he's supposed to be the father of the empire,
especially because Nero comes right after Tiberius, who came after Augustus. And so Caesar. Augustus was really the first true emperor, but he still, even though he changed the political landscape of Rome, he was still that old patrician, sort of leader who was working for the betterment of the Roman people. And Tiberius was really similar. But then Nero, like you said, he comes up and it's all about Nero.
All about Nero. So like Augustus Caesar is preaching a gospel that he brought peace to the world, right? I mean, he brought it through crucifixion and torture and all that stuff, but he's talking about the aggrandizement of Rome, and he cares about the Roman people. Tiberius is the same thing. Now Nero comes, and Nero is a cross-dresser, right? He wears women's clothing. He wants to be an entertainer.
He's all about himself.
He kills his wife in a fit of rage, then takes a young boy, has some surgeries tried to be done to the young boy to make him look just like his wife. I mean, Nero was nuts.
Yeah. So people saw that as like, this is the end of the end. We're in a time where everything's upside down. The father of the nation wants to be the clown. Like, it's really an upside down world, and you see the fall of the Roman Empire come after that.
In the comments, Tyler goes, Nero's last words were, "Oh, what an artist dies in me." How great.
Was it really?
Yeah, those were his last words.
Those are his last words.
Yes. Oh, what an artist dies in me.
So now you come to now, right? Bringing a full circle with Putin, and you have Trump, the entertainer, wanting to be the father of the nation, right? It's this weird thing that's going on in modern politics, in American politics specifically, where you have this. We're in an upside down world where we don't have leaders who actually care about the American people and care about the nation and the history of our nation and all these things. Where when you see Putin sit down now. So did you see Tom Holland's clip?
I saw the tweet. I didn't watch the clip.
So Tom Holland's,
I know he was criticizing some of the facts, especially with Poland.
Yeah, right. So with Poland in World War II, he's like,
I think people mistook what Putin was doing as him trying to lay out like 100% historical facts, when really what Putin was doing was laying out the Russian story, the narrative of his people, and whether or not each and every fact is 100% true is kind of irrelevant. He's saying this is the story that my people have lived by for 1,200 years, you know, and this is the story that we are going to live by, and that's just so foreign to us because what little story we do have is it's not about us as a people. It's about, you know, these fake ideals that we claim to have.
So Tom Holland's like, you know, Putin has this idealistic version of history that he wants to be true, but it's not true. And I'm like, Tom, you're not getting it. The narrative is more important than the facts.
Right.
Right. Like, so what you're saying, and dude, it's really been the main thing. So that's why we approach creation the way we do when we're talking about it. I'm not so because you can flip the creation thing that we always discuss and try to read science into the book of Genesis and make the same mistake as the scientists who are trying to get rid of Genesis totally. Like, don't try to read science into Genesis. My point is, don't baptize the atheist creation myth. That's what I'm trying. Like, stop trying to incorporate the stop, because to me that's what they're doing. They're trying to bring evolution into Genesis, and it's like don't read science into Genesis. Genesis is not scientific.
Anthony,
you hear us?
Can you see us at all?
I can. Can you see me?
Oh yeah. I thought
we got you.
Lost us. Okay. So, like, the whole idea of narrative is such an important thing. So that's why I always approach that topic in the way I do. I'm telling you guys, the problem with seeing things through an evolutionary lens is you see the world as a materialist. That's the issue. Like, that's my biggest concern with evolution. It's not that Darwin was 100% wrong on the ideas that there will be genes that, because there is some of his stuff that actually does work that way, right?
Adaptation,
yeah. Like, it's not that that's not the origin of species, but that is how reproduction works. You're going to get the dominant genes work on and go on, and it'll, you know, that's how nature will work. My issue is with the narrative itself. Don't even play games with it. God gave us our creation narrative, and that's the one we work by. So for Putin, this is so weird. I always bring creation into everything, but what Putin's doing is he's giving a narrative, like Rob said, for the Russian people. And it doesn't have to be fact-based perfect. It's this story that he's trying to tell his people. And that's why he spoke in Russian and not English, because Putin speaks English.
Right. Very, very good English.
Yeah, he wants his people to be aware of what he's saying, and that he's speaking their language in order to say it, and that he's not going to speak English to get his message across. He's a really witty man. He's very, very, very brilliant.
Andrew Tate had a weird take on it. He's like, Putin knows things that we don't, right? Putin could have exacerbated the culture wars. He could have gone on and been
he's actually getting a lot of flack in Russia, in the Kremlin, because he didn't do that.
So he could have come on and been like, look at what America's doing. They're turning their boys into girls. He didn't do any of that, dude.
And I'm surprised that he didn't.
I was at first, but now that I'm thinking about it, like, it's the most genius thing you get. Look, the thing about that is he's very calculated, right? Go ahead.
You got to understand, like, Russia, the Bolsheviks tore the Russian soul out of the Russian people. Like, they destroyed the narrative and the story that Russians had lived with. That's what's happening in America, right? Our history is being destroyed. It's being rewritten.
They don't want us to have any kind of a cultural background whatsoever.
Right, and that's what the Bolsheviks did for 80 years. And it's having to be rewritten and redone. And I think that's what Putin was doing for that first 40 minutes. He was telling his people their story, their history, their mythos, right? And not every fact might be true in there, but that mythos is something that they're going to live by. And it's true in that sense.
I was so frustrated with Tom Holland because I like Tom Holland. I love his books and he's a historian and stuff, but it's like, Tom, you're missing. So, and then Tom wrote a follow-up tweet and he's like, well, I also have to admit that Putin gassed our people or something. So I have a bit against it. I don't even know what he's talking about. I don't even know. But yeah, the point is you're missing what Putin's doing. He's giving his people a narrative to live by. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, the Americans used to have a narrative also, and it got changed on us at World War II. And this new narrative came out of World War II, and it had a lot to do with the Holocaust and all these things, and an American triumphalism, that we were the ones that came in and saved Europe. And
right.
We come out as the new world power, and we're the world dominant one on the stage and all that. And our whole American mythos is rearranged around that post World War II narrative that we've just, that's the American ethos now. It's crazy.
And we're, you know, that's under attack, and that's getting lost to where, you know, now you see young people, they're not enthusiastic about America. They want to, you know, like those pictures of those, I think it was some Native American guys sitting there flipping off the Mount Rushmore. You know, it's like, my goodness,
just
you know,
think
these
about
people
that,
are lost.
Like the Native Americans, they were the most formidable enemy the Europeans ever came across. They took 400 years to finally conquer the Native Americans because they were just this bands of bandits going around. I know we could have probably squashed them, but
I mean, you know,
they were trying to, you know, somewhat work with them, I think.
So either way,
and it's funny that those Indians that were doing that to Rushmore, they're probably Lakota Sioux, and the Lakota Sioux don't originate in that part of the country.
They went home and do the same things that we do, you know, get on our YouTube and have our nice first world problems while the third world, you know, suffers.
But think about going from being this warrior culture that's going in and scalping the Europeans to a social justice warrior. Like, you guys are now puppets for the left. Like, what an embarrassing
that is rough.
That's so embarrassing. Why would you even do that? But so the American, so even with, so you were talking about tearing down our past and like they're ripping down these statues and stuff. You got to really think that's what they did in the Reformation, right? They start ripping down the statues. That's how they get the new world order into place.
That's what they did in the 60s too.
That's what I was getting ready to say, Rob. It's exactly what's going on in our church right now. Our identity is getting stolen, and all of our history. We got to act like we got to apologize for being Catholic.
This is how you
throwing the whole thing upside down.
This is how you uproot a people from their foundation. You change the story. You uproot it. You get rid of the liturgy and you change the ritual. You get rid of the statues and the altars and you change it. And it takes 2 or 3 generations before it's completely changed over. So they did that during the Reformation, and that's what starts the New World Order. Then you're right, Rob. During the 60s, they undo the liturgy and they rip all the altars out and they do it. They have the French Revolution in the Catholic Church. And now we're getting like the pinnacle of that revolution with Francis right now. And it's just crazy that to watch Putin go and try and reestablish a narrative with his people. That's what I took from it. I took from it him trying to give his people a narrative and say, look, don't lose hope in what we are. We are, like, he's raising Russian pride to take, he's not trying to create this division within his country where it's like, if you're not Russian Orthodox, you're at, like, he's talking about the Jews and the Muslims, and he's saying we're all part of Mother Russia. This is what you have to look at, the mythos of Mother Russia, and trying to build a cultural identity.
And he was reaching out to the Ukrainians too. He was telling them they're part of the Russian story, and that they really are part of the Russian story, and that it is these outside forces that have kept them on the outskirts and drug them away from Russia.
And that's true, though.
It is
crazy.
It really is.
That's actually true. That's what happened. Oh man!
And I think a lot of people wonder why conservatives like us are kind of more understanding and kind of almost a lot of aspects of Putin we're sympathetic to, is because he's actually pulling on the conservative kind of ideology and heartstrings that we all love about,
not American conservatism.
Right, look, really conserving your culture and what really matters about, your life.
Well, he sees the American culture wars, right? He sees that there are Christians here that are going, what are you doing to our children? So he gives those speeches in his country, and he's a master propagandist too. You have to understand that. So Putin could have done all that last night, but he knows his little clips of those videos of him speaking to his own people are out there. He knows that we've all seen those clips of him talking about, look what they're doing to their children. They're cutting.
He wouldn't have done it if he didn't have a nice hidden agenda there.
Yeah, the guy's, he's a master propagandist. And, you have to understand, he does have this loyalty to the Russian people. He doesn't give a crap about Americans. He's just trying to, he does appeal to the conservative American bend simply because he does like that America, like it's like Sun Tzu or whatever. Like, if your enemy's destroying itself, don't interrupt. Don't interrupt. You don't even need to add to it. They're killing themselves. They're destroying themselves. Just let them do their thing. And he took a very unique approach last night that was like, I wasn't expecting that. I was really expecting it to be like a hard-hitting interview, and it wasn't. It was just this long conversation. Whenever Tucker asked him something about American policy, he was just like very like, no, we tried to work things out and they rebuff us at every turn. Yeah. But he got the message out that the CIA is really the one pulling the strings.
The problem. Yeah.
What do you think was actually in that folder?
I don't know.
Because it'd be very strange for it to be what he says it was, right? Like,
wait, what did he say it was?
He said it was documents going back to the 9th century, showing, like Russian historical documents going back to the 9th century. Whereas it would be far more interesting and likely, I think, if it was the actual peace agreement that was almost agreed upon between Russia and Ukraine and Turkey that America scuttled.
That's an interesting.
Imagine if he gave it to Tucker, so that Tucker can disseminate and show that America scuttled peace talks between Ukraine and Russia.
I think that you're very smart, Rob. I think that you got that figured out, and you're wise.
Because multiple times throughout the interview, he said, he said the things done, and he kept talking about how, this was said in private. I should have mentioned it now. We're like, this needs to be done in public. So then he publicly hands Tucker this folder of documents that, like I said, why a folder of letters?
You're right, man. They're leading on with something there.
Yeah, man, I think you're right. I think Tucker, that interview has more behind it than we all saw.
And apparently,
I think more is going to unfold for sure.
Tucker interviewed Snowden while he was there too.
Yeah,
that interview's not out yet.
And Tucker, dude, everybody loves him because he's willing to go places that nobody else is willing to go, and it's where everybody else really wants to go and what everyone else wants to know. So he's going to keep on getting the viewers that he gets, and he's going to keep pissing off the left because he's not going to stop. He will go everywhere that everyone thinks no one else is going to.
Oof. Man, and then the Biden thing last night. You juxtapose all that with Biden last night.
Timing was
the best part of the Biden thing. All right, so there's two parts.
I didn't watch this one, so I'm gonna be fresh to this.
So the first one is he's talking about his son Bo, who died, and he's like, they said I don't remember the date of my son Bo died, and I think that's none of their business when he died, and I have his rosary that I was given to me by Our Lady of. Oh, never mind. And like he doesn't even know what he's talking about.
So the background of this was yesterday, documents from the Justice Department came out that said that they were investigating how he had improper classified documents stored, like that, and they came out and said
that out,
that he can't stand trial because of his mental decline. I mean, that's the Justice Department more or less saying he's unfit to hold office.
Unfit to,
And then he comes out. I honestly thought when they were saying that he was about to do a press conference, I thought that might have been him resigning, honestly.
Yeah. Well,
No,
and I think they've got a strategy where they've got somebody lined up to take his place.
Yeah.
They know he can't win. So they're like, well, all right, we have to get this guy's mental decline out there so that people can accept the fact that we're going to have somebody different.
I think you guys are missing something. I think that most people are missing something because I listened to the, did you listen to the Supreme Court oral arguments the other day?
No,
I didn't.
Okay. So here's
the one with the Trump in Colorado.
I heard some clips, but I didn't watch the whole thing.
The lawyers for Colorado were arguing, saying, look, if you don't settle this now, what you're going to have is states refusing to certify electors. So everything they accused Trump of doing last election, remember with the false electors going in and all that stuff, I think Trump wins this election and states refuse to send their electors to go. Like that is, dude, I think this election is not, Trump's going to win in a landslide, and you're going to have individual states refusing to send their electors
to accept it. Yep.
And everything you saw in that last election that Trump was doing, you're going to see the other side do in this election. And you're going to see an actual insurrection.
An actual coup.
You're going to see an actual insurrection in front of everybody. I don't think people really think about what it means if Trump wins. I really don't think people understand what that means. Because
I lost both you guys.
Win, things will look. When Trump was in 2020, think about the riots that went on and stuff, right? In the last few months of his term, like the riots on every city street. As soon as Biden comes in, all that stuff gets quelled and peace is restored to the nation. If you get Trump back in, all that stuff starts right back up. Chaos ensues. That's how you get a real civil war to happen. And it's a civil war that's very well orchestrated with them holding the strings of media that we get our information from. They hold every aspect of the information that trickles out to us, except for a few YouTubers.
Well, Twitter now too.
Yeah. We don't really know Elon's full position. That's the thing. Yeah, it's a wild ride. I think 2024's election is going to be insane, dude. I think we're in store for some mayhem.
Most likely.
Sure. Like there's a lot more banning that goes on Twitter still with him, under his care than do on Facebook, even with Mark Zuckerberg. It's
well. Did you see what Elon said today? He goes, very soon I'm going to get rid of my phone and I will handle all my correspondence through phone, text, everything on Twitter, right?
Twitter, yeah.
And it's like, okay, that's awesome, unless you get banned.
Yeah.
Unless you get suspended. Like I'm gonna commit to using this platform as my main
for
source
everything.
Of communication, and then you ban me. That's not happening.
Well, and that's why you don't see it. I'll post a thing here and there on Twitter. I follow all you guys and I follow all my, social media people I like on Twitter. But man, I don't get on there much because I just don't trust it. I like Facebook, man.
I can't. I'm the opposite. I can't stand Facebook.
I can't stand Facebook. I don't. The only social media I use typically are X or Telegram.
Yeah. And most of my work I do at Truthworthy is really writing work, and I do a lot of writing, and I just post it on Facebook. How
was it received? Is it received well?
It's received pretty darn well, and I just started. I put a name on my Facebook post. I just put a picture of Truthworthy on there, and it's just my regular Facebook that I've always had, and I went from being like literally never followed, never talked to, never commented. And in the last 2 months, dude, it's like unbelievable. Every post gets, 10, 20, 30 comments, and I'm having discussions with people. And I can tell a lot of people can resonate with the message that I'm putting out there, and basically just trying to be honest about the ugly truths of Pope Francis and trying to get more traditional, spiritual, devotional type stuff out there that families and regular guys like us can use in order to build our spirituality, while obviously we're not going to get anything good from the Holy See on spirituality or anything.
Yeah. How's your 13-year-old handling all this stuff? Have you started catechizing her at all, or?
Yeah, she's handling really, really probably better than all of us. She's got more incorporated because they go to the Catholic school too, and this is her first year there. And I mean, she did cheerleading this year, which she's never done before. And she was always kind of more like a keep to yourself kind of kid, a stay-at-home kid. And she's really blossomed into more of a social kid and has made tons of friends and and she's a teenager, so she's getting more into like things like beauty and her looks and things. But I'm glad that she's in that phase now, while she's kind of going through this Catholic transition, because it's helping her to understand and develop a more mature and a more ladylike, attitude and demeanor and dress.
Yeah, it's hard. Teenage girls, man. Oof, I got two.
But not to say it's had its difficulties, and sometimes kids don't want to go to mass, and I got to drag them and force them to go.
Kids never want to go.
And then sometimes they don't, they just don't want to go, and I'll just walk my happy butt 2 blocks down where the church is.
We didn't cut him off. We lost him.
No, that looks like this. I don't do that enough. I need to do that more.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, man. The juxtaposition between Putin and Biden last night was wild. Then he's talking about the Mexican border, the Mexican president.
Yeah,
and he's like
the Egyptian guy.
He's like he gave the wrong name, right?
Yeah.
And then he's like, he didn't want to open the gate for humanitarian aid. And then I call Bibi, and Bibi's like, I'll open the Israelis. Like, he's talking about the Mexican border and the Gaza border at the same time. It was a total train wreck, man. I don't know, man. This next election, plus you got the synod ending. This is going to be a wild October.
Francis
November.
And poor health. Like
October and November are going to be nuts. Michael Hitchborn thinks June, because he thinks they're going to start doing gay blessings in June.
Wouldn't surprise me.
And in St. Peter's and stuff, And he's like, that's the desolation of abomination. I'm telling you. I'm like, oh, you're not wrong. But let's see. What happened? You don't like us?
Sorry, man. My phone's been having so many technical difficulties, and my dogs keep running in and out. My family just got home, so it's like, a bunch of just craziness. But that's life.
So I'm going away next week. I have an injured back. I'm sitting here with a TENS unit on my back right now. My back getting electrocuted right now. Just trying to. I don't think I'm going to be able to snowboard.
That sucks.
I've been like, I'm so freaking mad about it, man. Like,
hey, start over real quick, Anthony. I missed that whole first part of what you just said because my
he's just bitching.
I hurt my back at work 3 weeks ago, and I thought I would be better by now.
Did you have to get out of the truck or something?
I actually heard it. So it snowed here one day, and everybody was laid off, and he shut the company down, and he goes, just come to my house. I need a hand. And I wound up putting his Christmas decorations away in his crawl space. So I was bent over all day in the crawl space, putting Christmas decorations away, and I threw my back out.
Were you still on the clock?
Yep.
Yeah. I was getting paid, and I could file a workers' comp. I won't do that. So for the past 3 weeks, I've been just trying to like take it easy and like not exert myself to get healed. And I was almost better. And then we were like at work the other day, and we were short a guy, and I had to actually like help the guys out a little bit, and I threw my back out again.
You had to actually help the guys out a little bit.
I'm not. Listen, I had to actually throw shovels of asphalt. It wasn't.
It's
easy.
The benefits of being the high man on the totem pole there.
I'm boss's nephew. What are you going to do? But so I threw my back out again. Now I'm supposed to go snowboarding on Tuesday, on Fat Tuesday, and I'm worried that I'm not going to make it. I don't know. My kids will be devastated, so we'll see how that goes.
Today's like the first day this weekend. I don't feel like I'm tearing apart my insides just by moving.
Oh, how are you doing post-surgery?
Well,
right. Yes.
Pretty well.
Yeah. What'd you have to have surgery for?
I had my gallbladder removed. I just got the pathology results today. And the gallstone was like this big, apparently.
Ooh. Did they knock you out for that?
Oh yeah, I was completely out.
Yeah. Wow. Man, I bet that was no fun.
Where's the incision? Like your waistline?
I have 4 of them, 4 little incisions kind of down my stomach because they did it all
Like an emergency?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't emergent. The gallbladder wasn't sick
Good.
or infected yet. It was making me sick. I've been throwing up after eating for like the last 4 months now, and of course,
Oh
being
my goodness,
stupid and stubborn, it took 3.5 months for me to actually go to the doctor.
Men are so funny. It's like, I'm good. I don't need it. I'm all right. Don't worry.
I was like, you've been throwing up after eating for a long time.
I'm like, cancer.
I'm like, don't worry, it'll go away. It'll go away.
Yeah, dude, we're all like that. Like even this.
I had my appendix rupture, like was getting ready to rupture, like emergency bad, and I was actually working on redoing our floors the whole day, and I was like so sick, and I was telling my wife, I'm like, man, I don't feel good. And she's like, well, why don't you stop and we'll go to the doctor? I was like, nah, I just kept working and working.
Let me finish.
I'm laying there at night, just about ready to die, and I finally go to the hospital, and yeah, sure enough, the lady comes up and she's like, you're gonna prep for surgery right now, and I'm like, in a few days or something. She's like, no, right now.
Wow. Yeah, dude, we'll just push that thing off until like we're on our deathbed. We're like, nah, we're good. Well, as long as I can still walk, I'm all right. Even my back, I'm going to the doctor tomorrow to get like a cortisone shot, but like I should have went 3 weeks ago when I first heard it. I probably got herniated discs and stuff.
Oh yeah, dude. Well, and doing that kind of work, man, it's just hard on your body, dude.
So, all right, boys, I'm gonna get some sleep. Rob, what are you gonna do? I think you got to try and get Nick on next week, and if that doesn't work out, throw the Ibarra interview up, the locals segment.
We can do the locals for this too. That'd be good.
And this locals Thursday, yeah. So,
well, dude, it was so awesome getting to meet you guys, and I appreciate you guys having me on, and it was just awesome to get to talk to you, and can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, I'm glad we had you on. It's good to just have other people to talk to about these things too, man. It's like
that's another big reason I do Truthworthy, man. I don't have any real like close friends at the parish, but I've got tons of good buddies that I've met doing Truthworthy, man, and I mean, this is my Catholic friends here.
Yeah, it's weird, this whole online thing, man. Like
it connects people that are like-minded, where usually it'd take a long time to find anybody that was. That's
why the FBI is watching us.
Hey, you're right. I tell everybody, hey, don't go to the SSPX because the FBI is there. I'm just joking, but I'm sure they are.
Well, I think they were at 3 diocesan parishes, if I remember right.
Dude, I went to an SSPX parish, and then not even like an hour later, it said that somebody had logged into my Google account and my Facebook account and all this stuff, like I'd been hacked. And I'm like, dude, that's freaking weird, man. Maybe I'm just thinking too deep into it.
Oh, that's awesome. Who knows?
It was weird.
The thing is, I think the government can get in without having to hack your account, though.
No, and I don't think they're that worried about somebody like me. They already know I'm nuts.
All right, boys. Rob, all right. So I'm off all next week. So our next show is Joshua Charles on February 20th, I think.
Another one of my favorite dudes, man. That guy is just tearing it up, and I love what he's doing. He just puts out the best freaking content and you read it, and it just lifts your whole day up.
Wait until you see the conversation we're gonna have, though, man. He's got we're gonna go into. Somebody asked me on Twitter, they were like, Anthony, is there anything I could read about? Because I was talking about the symbolism of the stars and how that they have meaning, and all these celestial bodies have meaning and stuff. Joshua's going to help me bring that all home.
You ever seen that video, Star of Bethlehem, with that lawyer that did the presentation, the astrological stuff about the signs in the skies when Christ was crucified and when he was born and stuff?
No.
Look it up. It's called Star of Bethlehem. It's brilliant. And dude, you guys should really have Robert Sanginas on sometime.
Oh,
man,
I've been trying. I just
he's
sent
my
him a
dude,
message.
Man.
I sent him a message. Let's see if he even responded. Hang on, let's see.
He's so excellent, and I'm telling you, I'm fully convinced. Geocentrism makes so much sense, and it goes along with the whole evolution thing that you guys have been talking about. The whole, made up meta narratives that they want us to believe, and trying to just take ours.
Let's see. Hang on. I'm searching to see.
And geocentrism, man, I'm telling you, it really illuminates a lot of theological concepts, especially in the Catholic faith.
Well, Sungenis does a lot with also like disproving, because a lot of people are like, do flat Earth next. Like, no,
Nope.
Flat Earth is not legit.
I'm not
like,
a
it's
flat
not even
Earth guy.
scriptural. You have to understand scripture. The flat Earth actually is leveling everything. That's not good. You don't want that. You want the mountaintop. You don't want flat Earth. Flat Earth is
Well,
not
we all know
something
what's true.
You know,
I mean, once you really look into it and you think about God's creation and you think about mankind and you think about what the scripture really teaches, and it's so obvious to me that we are very unique and special, and that our place in the universe is very central to the whole entire reason why God created everything else in the cosmos.
That documentary, The Principle, was actually really, really good, man. If you guys haven't
I try
seen
to share that once in a while on my Facebook just to, you know, make sure that new people might check it out, because, dude, it's just phenomenal. And you get all of these very, very smart, brilliant men that are experts that talk about these things. And it's like these crystal clear topics that they try to manipulate you into thinking are so real and true in high school and, you know, in all the public schools and in liberal science. And you just realize it's all bullshit.
Yeah, all of it. Oh, man. All right, Levi, it was very nice meeting you. Rob,
God bless you, man. And God bless you, Rob.
You too.
Hey, Rob, thank you, guys.
Touch with you next
Have
week.
A good night, dude.
Yeah, you too, Levi. Thank you for coming on. Rob, I'll text you. I'll text you Monday, and we'll figure out what you're gonna do for the channel on Tuesday. All right, guys. Thank you. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
See you guys.